No, I haven't seen it work. I think like that was one of the times I just wasn't looking. Or something. All right, let's kick
Nah, it
this
was
off.
a private match, so
Oh, okay, let's kick this off. First up, we got the Storm Riders under the red banner. They're flying the Fancy Knight. Mobula being piloted by Dementrio. Yes. Mercury up top with Gatling, Artemis, and lower deck, Banshee, and Gatling. Interesting. So only, okay, this is concerning. Only one Artemis on this setup. On the other side, we've got the Lib Clutter. Well, they're also bringing the Lib Clutter being piloted by Luio, so we got to do this fast. Hades up top with Artemis on the lower deck. Port side, Flare Gun, starboard side, Gatling.
alright, and for the Skyborne flown by Sunstrom, we have the double Artemis, Hades, Wolverine, Echidna, Mobila. And we have the same squid being piloted by Solidus Bucket, the real wheel.
The real rear
I think.
wheel.
Yeah. You'll get hit by Karma, Solidus, I know it. Two Gatlings and a Banshee, same thing.
Maybe I should just call it the Dicks.
So it's been a long time since I actually both riffed. First time I'm casting, so I don't actually know what Skyborne pulls off. So I'm interested to see what they can show here.
Oof, the real rear wheel is getting peppered pretty hard.
He's in control. He's just playing with them.
You think so? These shots
Yeah,
are
look at
pretty
that.
accurate, though. I mean, look at these. Wow. If they lose an engine, they could be in trouble, and they're exposing them now.
He's playing with them. He's just buying time. He had all the time to go down, which he is now. At his allies in better position.
Yeah, yeah. Still an Arc of the Mercury, though. The Mercury is specifically going for the engines. Not quite able to land them, which is understandable. They managed to pull the Fancy Knight Lib Clutter forward, which I guess is where they want to be. Skyborne hanging out up top. They have the spots, but they're not taking the shots yet. Here we go.
Here we go.
The actual engagement is going to happen right now. Real rear wheel nudges the Fancy Knight, and that's going to keep them in arc. This suddenly went abysmal. The Skyborne now has a lot of damage control to perform. Real rear wheel forced to back up. Do they have all their engines still? They do. Only two are buffed, but they're the two engines that are really important, so they're going to be okay.
Not the engagement they were looking for.
Definitely not.
Definitely.
It was the bump. The bump killed it. It kept the Fancy Knight in arc. It stopped the momentum of the real rear wheel. They couldn't afford to keep fighting, but now the Skyborne is engaged. Real rear wheel needs to get back in there right now. Skyborne losing their armor, losing hull. Real rear wheel has a lot of damage control to do, but the Gatling is right off the bat not doing the damage it needs to. Lib Clutter gets spotted, but they're running right past it. Fancy Knight focusing the real rear wheel now and leaving the Lib Clutter to continue pinning the Skyborne.
So now they got that 1v1 they wanted, but it's too late. The Skyborne is going to go down.
Yeah, I think that's too much. Lib Clutter is going to finish this off. Hades, easy shots for this Hades.
But
No
missing
problem.
half of them.
Carronade? No, that's Hades. There we go.
There
Hades
we go.
right into the balloon. Doesn't even matter. Real rear wheel. Doing okay for itself. It managed to, I guess, fight off the Fancy Knight, but to what end? Now it's going to get targeted. There is no chem spray on these engines, so if a Hades lands there, it could light a number of fires, but they look okay for now. 1-0.
This looks like a classic thing I've seen. Is just stay in blue spawn and just pick the ship off one by one. They don't even need to keep killing the squid.
No, they don't. I think
If
that they
the
just want to...
Mobila, if they can find the Mobila in a disadvantaged position, they could just keep rolling into the spawn.
Oh no. Oh no. They burnt Hydro right as the balloon was aflame.
Oh god.
Yeah, and they just lost all of it. Now their armor is getting shredded and is on fire. Two guns are on fire. They lose their armor. Their hull's getting chipped away. And the Skyborne is nowhere to be seen because it's just going to let its squid either die or get to it. There's not a whole lot they can do. Balloon down. Engines down. Armor dropping. Are they just letting themselves go? No, they're trying
That
to
looks
repair.
like
They
it.
get the armor back up, but... Yeah, they were working on the balloon, trying to get that back up, but immediately it's set aflame again, and now they're bottoming out. Shoot, vent. Yeah, now they're just suiciding. There we go. So 2-0 in favor of the Storm Riders. Skyborne off on the side, just backing up even farther. So, do you think that engagement... So, obviously, no, they didn't get the engagement they wanted. The real rear wheel rammed the Fancy Knight. Do you think that is what completely ruined it, or do you think that they need to try a different engagement style?
I think they wanted to get a quick haul down and then try and take someone out, but both mobilists just were spot on with their hits. So what the squid needed to do was actually either get behind them or below them to try and change their positioning, so the Skyborne could come in and support. But definitely the bump denied that completely. If that was what they were going for.
Yeah, I think it was purposeful. They've got Hydro. Very smart.
So another engagement coming up here.
Yeah. Now the real question is, yeah, look at this. Look how hard they're camping. Lib Clutter is spotting both ships. Not ideal for the squid, however, it is fairly close. So they could decide to make something of it. Rear wheel. There we go. Finally screwed it up. There we go. Skyborne finally getting the damage it needs. Real rear wheel getting hit by the Fancy Knight, but not too much damage. Lib Clutter is the real loser in this engagement. The armor drops and the hull is exposed. Banshee comes out immediately, and boy howdy is it ripping through the hull. Little over half hull left for them. Skyborne now getting targeted down. Fancy Knight trying to take out those engines, and it's doing a great job of it, giving Lib Clutter time to back up, but the Skyborne's still on it. The Skyborne is completely open. No one trying to damage it at all.
So Solidus finally did what he needed to do, because he started an engagement firing basically outside the range, so he didn't hit much. But he went in as fast as he could again to get those Gatling shots in.
Yeah,
because that's important.
Yeah, that was really important.
If you miss half your Gatling shots because of range, then it's not really the gunner's fault, but rather the pilot not going too close into the zone where it actually works.
Yeah, I agree. Now Fancy Knight trying to close distance, get within range, or get within arming time of the Hades, but it's only making things worse for it. There it goes.
Yeah, the game is still open, so we'll see what's gonna happen. I think Skyborne definitely needs to fight more in these enclosed areas where there's cloud and cover.
Yeah, I agree. The Hades, it's a little bit of a struggle, but the Gatling nullifies that problem pretty well. It has 2 forms of armor break, and then it has plenty of hull break at any range with the Artemis and the Echidna. Yeah, and especially because of the Mercury on the Fancy Knight. Like, you gotta nullify it.
Interesting spawns.
Yeah, they're spawning way far away from one another. Fancy Knight, very close in here, and I don't think. Yeah, there are no flares, so it hasn't.
This
been
can either
spotted
be
yet.
the perfect flank from blue team or the perfect trap red team set up.
Yeah, I'm curious. The Fancy Knight could be bait. No, they're just forming back up.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing again. He's way out of range with that Gatling, and now they know where he is.
He's got Lesmok.
Either Solidus needs to go closer, or Dark Knight, the engineer gunner, needs to be a little less trigger heavy.
Yeah, this is not okay, especially with Skyborne taking hull damage. That is a lot of hull damage. That's not something they can afford. They're trying to fight this at this range, but the squid can't. He can't do this. It can't leave the Skyborne this vulnerable. Skyborne's charging in, but it's too late. Fancy Knight's right on him. Fancy Knight is at the same level. The Mercury doesn't really have a whole lot of trouble landing shots, so the real rear wheel struggling to try and pull the Fancy Knight off. There we go. Fancy Knight's off, but the Lib Clutter is just gonna hit the Skyborne now. Armor drops on the Fancy Knight. Wow. Yeah. This squid is doing a lot more work than I thought it was going to do. However,
This is the difference of going closer.
Fancy
I'm
Knight is
staying
now
in
landing
range.
Gatling shots. The real rear wheel needs to get out, especially with its ally down. Like that engagement was about as good as the Ryders could have hoped. Like with the squid hesitating to move in, the engines were open. Like now, especially, they're open. The balloon's down now. Got to get out, but there's not a whole lot of places to go. Armor drops, comes back up just in time, and I think it might survive, but that may actually be to their detriment.
So Sunstrom has hydrogen and drogue chute. I'm not sure the drogue chute is the best solution here to use when you're fighting other mobiles, because then they can keep hitting you.
Yeah, I agree. Oh,
But the reason why they lost that engagement was because they were at the highest ceiling, so there was no way for the Skyborne to get down. But if they potentially brought chute vent, they could start going down and out of arcs and stay alive. So yeah, it's getting caught in that high ceiling. That's the usual death for mobiles these days, because they won't break chute vents.
yeah. Like it's just such a default.
And I mean, you can also see that Dementia and Luosi are also bringing drogue chute and hydrogen. It's not really any balloon poppers to be scared of.
Yeah. It does feel like a wasted slot. I would have rather seen like even chute vent. That's questionable, but like I still think it would get more done than drogue chute.
Or maybe we're just two old guys and we don't know what people use these days.
Old timers. I don't know. I think our theory is sound. Here we go. Fancy Knight coming around, gets the spot on the real rear wheel. Who nudges the wall?
Karma, Solidus. Karma.
No, it's not karma. That's just mistakes. Flare comes out. Where's the flare? Is it on the Skyborne?
I don't think so.
There's a flare somewhere. Oh, it's on the lib clutter.
Yeah.
Okay.
The general gesture of that, I'd rather know where the enemy squid is and have him know where we are than not knowing where the enemy squid is.
Yeah. And that's one of the big mistakes like I think has happened, is the squid hasn't been terribly stealthy. Hasn't been taking any weird routes.
It's a hard map to be stealthy in.
Lib clutter managed to get over with a little bit of balloon damage. Might be able to cut off the real rear wheel, but it's taking far from the Skyborne. Fancy Knight has got to make something happen now. Real rear wheel goes for the bump and kills itself. Well, I think it was trying to go over the lib clutter, and the lib clutter just rose up and got in the way.
Solidus, this is to you. Don't pick those shit names. Just don't. This is what happens.
Sly Cross Fox says slow clap. Zelda says whoops. What an anticlimactic end.